Ask has nothing to do with this weekend, but why do you guys come over here to talk for a second or so before?
I think, Coach, when he comes in, I think he just wants to be in an environment where the stadium, where the game is going to be played. Sometimes you call him up on the practice field, and it's sort of like just another meeting, preseason, Monday, Tuesday, whatever. It's getting to be game time, and I think he likes to bring them in the stadium and, talk about just a few little reminders and stuff like that.
Just curious.
Yeah.
Who are you going to start at safety?
Right now we'll start the same two. It'll be Devontae, and then DJ will start at the free safety. DJ could have to play both. He could have to rotate back and forth, and of course Akeem would play free safety if we move him back
DJ
and forth. Yeah.
What about Devin Taylor's length makes him tough to block?
Well, I don't know if it makes him that tough to block. It really gives him a lot of range on plays. It's really actually harder for a kid that tall to shed blocks. In some cases, the thing that makes him better than most tall kids is he's much more flexible. He can get his hips down and leverage blocks and protect his legs on low blocks. But he's so dadgum athletic and his range and his ability to chase and all that. That's where a lot of his plays come from.
Tall guys, it's usually harder because somebody can just get up under them and chop their legs out.
Absolutely. I mean, it's easier. It's harder for a tall guy to be able to, leverage blocks. And what I mean by leverage is protect yourself from getting under their pads where you can shed them. And obviously, the taller you are, the harder it is to get low. Mm-hmm. And he is an unusually tall kid, even for the SEC or this level, even in the pros. He's a tall kid, but he's got so much flexion and great flexibility that he can drop his hips and protect his legs on cut blocks, and then on the base blocks, he can get pad on and leverage. That's obviously not his strength, the base block, but he does a good job with it. But it gives you a lot of range on pass rush and chasing in pursuit on run, and it's very difficult to throw over.
What's the hardest thing with defending a Ryan Mallett offense?
Well, it's a whole thing. I mean, Mallett is a really good player, but he's a key ingredient in a group of kids, that fit what Petrino likes to do. He loves to stretch the field vertically and horizontally and open up his running game. When you've got the kind of speed they do in the wide receiver core and the tight end, could be the best receiving tight end we've seen this year. And he also uses his backside of the backfield on deep routes more than most people you play. So it's constantly stretching the field, and when you got a guy like Mallett that can get the ball anywhere on the field, he's got the strong arm, he can throw the outs, he can throw the deep route, he can throw everything. He's been a little inaccurate at times on some short throws and crossing routes underneath, but it's so much stretch and pressure on you all the time to defend those things. Of course, and that makes it more difficult to defend the box, in the running game.
Given that some Novembers recently here have not been good, do y'all address that with this team, or do you say this is a new group, we let them do their own thing?
Coach always talks about that, and it's kind of been a little motto, second half of the season, second half of ball games too. Mm-hmm. That's been a carryover that has some correlation to what you're asking about. But we have had tougher Novembers and tougher finishes. Logically, if you look at our schedule, a lot of times it's been backloaded.
Right.
When you play the Arkansas, the Florida, the Tennessee, the Clemson's, all in the last half of the season, it's tougher to find those wins. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, most of the non-conference opponents usually early in the schedule. But at the same time, I do think it's a challenge for us to finish the season and try to, we've got to press out some wins on this schedule if we're ever going to get over the hump on those tough games at the end.
Do you see the secondary kind of stepping up this week because of the challenge ahead of them?
Well, I hope so. I mean, I don't think you're going to know that until Saturday. What we've done over the last 3 weeks, because the coaches want to do it and we've told them to continue to do more of it, we're doing a lot more good on good pass scale now during the course of the week. We carved out anywhere from 8 to 12 to 15 minutes a day so we can go good on good. I think it's helped our offense a little bit too, but I know it's helped us more so because our scout team, frankly, this year is really not capable of duplicating or anything close to what our opponents are doing in the run game or the pass game. But I think some of our problems about that, frankly, fundamentally, have been the fact that we haven't gotten routes daily that can vertically get on you quicker and break your cushion, routes that can run by you, routes that break off quicker that you can't regenerate and break on. So I think it's made us a lot better. We've been doing a lot more good on good. Our man coverage technique has improved. Our zone awareness and the speed we're getting into our zones and breaking on the ball has improved, and it's got to, because it has not been good. And I'm going to say right along with that statement that all of our problems in the passing game are not the secondary. But the thing that has been most glaring is fundamentally technique and making plays on the ball and those type things. It was just too inconsistent. And I think the last 2-3 weeks with all the work we've done in pass scale with the good offense and the good defense working against each other, we've gotten a lot better fundamentally and a lot better things we've got to do.
Is this the sort of game against a team like Arkansas where defensively you need a little more help from your offense to score some points or run the ball?
Yeah, I mean, everybody has. Nobody has stopped Arkansas. Alabama did a good job late in the game with turning the ball over, but they gave up a bunch of passing yards. They gave up a touchdown pass the second play of the game. Nobody has stopped Arkansas, and we ain't gonna stop Arkansas. We've got to manage it and keeping it from being anything to where it just blows the game out, and hopefully get some turnovers. That's the key to him, is you've got to get some turnovers and get them off the field. Offensively, you do need to stay on the field, as with any good offense. If you limit the number of snaps they have, and that's been their problem when their defense has not been able to get them the ball back enough, they have struggled at times. It cuts the number of calls, that coordinator can make, and it helps in so many ways.
Against their pass defense, are y'all looking to play more zone or stick with a man-type defense? Or
We got a mix. We got to be able to do it all. You have to be able to blitz, you have to be able to defend, and you got to play zone, you got to play man. I think the one mistake you would make if you went in against these guys is if you tried to lay it all in one element, in one phase, and think you're going to overrun them, confusing them with zone or locking down man or blitzing every time. You can't do that to well-coached passing teams. This offense is just like any other good offense. It doesn't matter if it's the wishbone or if it's an empty spread, drop back throwing game. When you got good players that fit what you do well, and they do. They've got a great core of wide receivers. They've got pretty adequate protection up front. They got a quarterback that can make any throw on the field. And anytime you've got that in a throwing offense, you got pressure all over the field. So I think the key, you have to be able to mix and try to hopefully keep them from ever getting a bead on what you're doing.
Also, how big is the loss of Culliver for this weekend?
Well, it's huge. Number one, he's a good cover corner with bigger receivers. He had a bad game last week, but I didn't really even know it. People didn't know it, but he tore that muscle in the first quarter, and he couldn't run full speed. He tried to play through it. Probably unwise for us to leave him out there. The other thing that's going to hurt us, the other kids step in or don't have the size and the range he does, but the second thing is now we're down to about 6 players that could even play back there that we feel like are ready to play. So it becomes a depth problem in rotation too.